Omni-Man returns to Earth and his wife, Debbie. The story begins with Invincible and Oliver in conversation. Oliver insists, "If you're going, I'm coming too. You can't just leave me behind." Invincible, trying to reason with him, replies, "I need you to stay here. I need to know that you're keeping everyone safe. Can't you do this for me?" Oliver, however, refuses to back down. "I won't let you and Father go into battle alone," he argues. "I want to be there for you. You'll need me. The Viltrumites tried to kill my mother and me. This is my fight too." Invincible, still attempting to convince his younger brother, responds, "I understand that, but we both need you to stay here. We can't leave Earth unprotected. I don't want to leave Mom and Eve defenseless. What if Angstrom Levy returns while I'm gone?" After a pause, Oliver finally concedes, saying, "Okay, I get it, but why am I hearing this from you? Why hasn't Father come to see me? Why haven't I heard this from him?" Invincible explains, "He's hesitant to come here. He's not ready for Mom to see him yet. I don't even know how to tell her about everything." Unbeknownst to them, Debbie has been listening to their conversation the entire time. Stepping forward, she interrupts, "Tell me about what? Who's not ready to see me?" Just then, a familiar voice responds from behind, "Me, but I've changed my mind." Debbie turns around, and her eyes widen in shock. Tears well up as she sees none other than Omni-Man standing before her. He then turns to Mark and Oliver and asks, "Can you both give us a moment alone?" The two brothers quietly step away, leaving Debbie standing there, overwhelmed by emotions. "This can't be real," she murmurs, still in disbelief. "You left Earth and never looked back." Breaking the silence, she finally speaks, "There's nothing you could say that would make me stop hating you." Omni-Man responds, "I meant nothing of what I said that day." He recalls their past, the moment he and Invincible faced off, when Mark fought to protect Earth, while Omni-Man sought to conquer it for the Viltrum Empire. "My time here changed me," Omni-Man admits. "All those years I spent with you, raising Mark, living our life together. I thought it was all an act. I thought I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. But I was wrong. I was changing, becoming the person you knew. What we had was real. When I fought Mark, I realized the truth. I was forcing myself to carry out the mission. That was the act. That day, I knew I would never return to the Viltrumite Empire. I knew I had destroyed the life I had grown to love." But Debbie remains unconvinced, standing with her back to him. "I don't think I'll ever truly believe that, Nolan. How could I?" she says, her voice trembling as tears roll down her cheeks. Omni-Man, visibly distraught, replies softly, "I understand and I'm sorry." Later, in her home, we see Debbie, now older, speaking on the phone. "You don't understand, Paul. I don't want any of this. I don't want to look at it," she says, glancing around at the objects tied to old memories. "Too many memories, both good and bad. It upsets me." With a sigh, she admits, "I miss you a little, but that doesn't change anything. That's not my fault, and you know it. Just come over and take your stuff today, or I'm throwing it all out." She abruptly ends the call. "Screw you, Paul." Suddenly, the silence is broken by a familiar voice. "Who's Paul?" Debbie turns around in shock. Standing before her is none other than Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man. Just then, Mark enters, rushing toward his mother and embracing her. "Hi, Mom." Tears stream down Debbie's face as she holds him. "Oh my God, you're safe. You're alive," she exclaims. "I'm fine, Mom," Mark reassures her. Trying to compose herself, Debbie says, "Fine? You've been gone for 10 months. I thought. Suddenly, she realizes something. "Oh my God, where's Oliver?" Omni-Man steps forward and answers, "Oliver's fine. He was injured, but he's alive. He's on Telestria, receiving the best medical care. He's in good hands." As Nolan takes Debbie's hand, he asks, "Who is Paul?" Still upset, Debbie brushes off the question and turns to Mark. "Mark, you should go see Eve. She's not doing well." Concerned, Mark responds, "What? Okay, I'll be back," before flying off in a hurry. Once Mark leaves, Omni-Man, looking remorseful, tries to express his regret for his past actions. "Oh, so you took another mate?" he says to Debbie. Debbie scoffs. "Mate? More like a companion. Are you seriously upset over this? How many alien bug women were you with before Oliver came along?" Omni-Man shakes his head. "I'm not upset. Just disappointed." Debbie dismisses him. "Well, he's my ex now. With Mark gone, I just wasn't there for him, and he couldn't." Before she can finish, Cecil suddenly teleports into the room, cutting off their conversation. "Sorry to barge in like this," he says. "We detected atmospheric penetration and thought it might be Mark." As he turns, Cecil's eyes widen in shock at the sight of Omni-Man. Instinctively, he pulls out his gun and fires. The blast hits Omni-Man, but he remains completely unfazed. Omni-Man smirks. "Nice to see you again, Cecil." Cecil lowers his weapon. "Yeah, Mark told me you had reformed. Sorry." Reflex. Still wary, Cecil asks, "So, does this mean the war is over?" Omni-Man nods. It's over. Later that night, Debbie and Nolan sit on the couch, the silence between them thick with unresolved emotions. Debbie sips her coffee and finally speaks. "Truth is, after seeing you again, things with Paul just felt wrong. Not that I believe a word you've said about having feelings for me or regretting what you've done. There's no coming back from that." Omni-Man watches her intently. "And yet, after seeing me, you couldn't stand to be with another man." Debbie clenches her jaw, anger flashing across her face. Omni-Man smirks slightly. "I wish there were a way to show you just how much I've missed you." Debbie hesitates, then reaches out, placing her hand over his. "Nolan, no, damn it. I will not forgive you. I will never forgive you." Omni-Man gently places a hand on her shoulder. "I know I can never take back what I did. I was misguided, lost. I spent thousands of years believing in something, and I had to unlearn it all. You have to try and understand." Debbie's frustration boils over. "No, I don't have to understand a goddamn thing. You ruined my life, you son of a bitch. Don't you get that? You ruined." She stops mid-sentence, her emotions overwhelming her. Tears well up in her eyes. I just wish everything could go back to how it was before," she whispers before breaking down and embracing him. Omni-Man holds her tightly. "No, things will never go back to the way they were, because I will never lie to you again." Meanwhile, before the war, Omni-Man had done something rare, something truly human. He had entered Mark's room and approached Oliver. Looking at his younger son, he said softly, "I want to talk to you." Oliver hesitated before responding. "I was worried you wouldn't recognize me." Omni-Man's voice was filled with emotion. "I recognize you, son. I've missed you so much. You've grown so much since I last saw you. Tell me everything about your life here, what you've learned, what you've experienced." Still uncertain, Oliver hesitated. I don't even know where to start. A lot has happened." Omni-Man nodded thoughtfully. "I've changed my mind. I think you should come with us. We can talk more on the way. There's so much you can still learn." A smile broke across Oliver's face. "Hell yeah." And with that, their journey continued, Nolan, having faced his past, finally taking steps toward redemption. Omni-Man's return to Earth and reunion with Debbie carry immense emotional and narrative significance, marking a pivotal moment in his transformation from a ruthless conqueror to a man seeking redemption. As a devoted agent of the Viltrumite Empire, Omni-Man, or Nolan Grayson, was conditioned to see Earth as nothing more than a strategic asset, a planet meant to be conquered and assimilated into the vast and brutal Viltrumite regime. To him, human relationships were insignificant, and even his marriage to Debbie and the family he built were, at one point, seen as mere tools to maintain his cover. He believed his love for them was an illusion, a performance to make his presence on Earth more seamless. However, his departure and subsequent time away from Earth forced him into deep reflection, leading him to a life-altering realization. His love for his family was never an act. The bonds he formed, especially with Debbie and Mark, were real, and the choices he made in service of his empire had caused irreparable pain. His return to Earth is not simply about coming back home. It is a confrontation with the ghosts of his past, the people he abandoned, and the destruction he left in his wake. It is a moment of reckoning, one where he must face the emotional wreckage he caused, particularly to Debbie, who was left shattered in the aftermath of his betrayal. Debbie, once a devoted wife who saw Nolan as the love of her life, was forced to endure the realization that the man she trusted had not only lied to her, but had also harbored intentions of subjugating her entire world. For her, his return is an emotional storm, one filled with conflicting feelings of pain, anger, disbelief, and, somewhere buried deep, the remnants of the love she once had for him. The sight of Nolan again, after all the suffering she endured, brings back memories she wished to forget, and her immediate reaction is not relief, but fury. She lashes out at him, expressing the pain that has festered within her for so long, making it clear that his absence did not erase the scars he left behind. She struggles with the idea of whether she should even entertain the thought of hearing him out, let alone forgiving him. For Omni-Man, this reunion is a test of his resolve. He now understands that redemption is not something that can be easily granted, nor is it something he has the right to demand. He has come back not expecting forgiveness, but hoping for a chance to prove that he has changed. He acknowledges his mistakes, admits that he was wrong, and accepts that his actions have permanently altered his relationship with Debbie and Mark. Yet, despite knowing that the road to redemption is long and uncertain, he still chooses to walk it, because he has finally come to value the family he once dismissed. His words to Debbie are not empty apologies. They are an admission of guilt, an attempt to take responsibility for the devastation he caused. He knows he cannot undo the past, but he hopes that, in time, he can show her that the man she fell in love with still exists, changed and remorseful. Debbie's reaction is deeply human. She is torn between the love that once defined their relationship and the unbearable betrayal that shattered it. She does not forgive him, nor does she allow herself to trust him so easily. Her emotional breakdown reveals the depth of her suffering, how much she wished things could go back to the way they were before the truth was revealed. And yet, despite her anger and her insistence that she will never forgive him, there is a moment of vulnerability, when she reaches for his hand, when she expresses the pain she has been holding on to, when she allows herself to grieve the life they lost. This moment captures the complexity of love and betrayal, of the struggle between wanting to move forward and being unable to let go of the past. Omni-Man's return to Earth is more than just a homecoming. It is a defining moment in his character arc, a test of whether he can truly change, and whether the people he once hurt can never see him as anything other than the monster he became. His reunion with Debbie is not one of easy forgiveness, but of raw, unresolved emotions, serving as a reminder that some wounds never fully heal. However, it also suggests that even in the face of seemingly irredeemable mistakes, the effort to make amends still holds meaning. Whether or not Debbie will ever truly forgive him remains uncertain, but Omni-Man's willingness to face her, to acknowledge his failures, and to seek redemption is a powerful step forward in his journey. His return signifies that change is possible, but it comes with a price: the burden of guilt, the struggle to rebuild trust, and the realization that some things, no matter how deeply regretted, can never be undone. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. You can also check out my other videos here.